Hey, welcome to Frank Factualities, the podcast. My name is Yolanda. I am glad to have you all here listening to my show for another week. Joining me for a brand new episode. How's it going, everybody? This is the Thanksgiving holiday. So I know my show releases on Thursday, which will actually be Thanksgiving. So I just want to say happy Thanksgiving if you're listening to this on Thursday. If you're listening to this after Thursday, I hope you all had a great holiday. I have noticed a trend so far, and that is that not a lot of people are talking about what they're doing for the holidays. Not a lot of people, at least in my vicinity, I'm not talking about social media, just in my life in general. No one's really talking about going to anyone's home, cooking a lot of food. None of that is really going on. So my assumption is that inflation with the groceries has gotten everybody staying home, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, sometimes you just want to chill. Sometimes you just want to take time for yourself with your immediate family, just the people that's in your home. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. That can be a really good thing. And I know that's what we're doing. We're just going to be here. My daughter and her little immediate family they're coming over. I may stop by my brother's house, him and his girl, they're doing something over there. So I may just stop by because my niece and nephews are there, nieces and nephews are there. And I may just stop by to say what's up and spend time with them. But it'll probably be a regular Sunday dinner over here, not necessarily a Thanksgiving feast. Maybe what makes it Thanksgiving is that I have a little pie or something like that. But for the most part, I don't really cook. We eat out a lot unnecessarily. And maybe that will change for the new year. I do need to create some new habits because, I told y'all this, but I'm paying back my student loan. So that has really messed up my food budget because that's what I tend to spend the most money on. And so that's put a dent in it. Not that I don't eat out, but I definitely don't indulge in pricey food options, I'll say. And now I have to go more cheap options, which kind of makes it not fun to eat out anymore. So I will probably be making more food. And to clear the air before you say it, I eat out a lot because I choose to, not because I can't cook. I really can cook. I just don't like it. I don't like the prep process. I don't like the washing of dishes. Like all of that goes into cooking is what I don't like. And some people enjoy that. They say that it brings them peace and it's something calming for them to be able to do something or make something for the people that they love. That's a lot of people's love language. It's not mine. I'll buy you something, okay? Anyway, enough about me. I'm just enjoying my break. That is all that I am doing. I hope you all enjoy whatever mini break you have, even if it's just for Thanksgiving Day. Enjoy it. And again, be thankful for the people for this season. I think that that's really the importance of Thanksgiving is to spend time with family and to be thankful. So that's what's going on in my streets. What's going on out here in these other streets? Whew. Let's just take a moment to pause for the amount of drama and issues that have been going on this month so far, or this last past week. Let's get straight into this Diddy stuff because I know that you all have been hearing that. I want to jump on it before it's no longer trending, which I don't know if it'll ever stop trending. But Puffy, aka P. Diddy, aka Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, what Puffy, whatever his name is, Sean John, he has been sued in a civil suit by Cassie, which was one of his former artists turned girlfriends. If I tell you her song, I'd be lying. She had like one song, and you know it if you hear it, and I can't think of it right now, but she had like one song. She was a pretty girl, and they were dating for a very long time. If you remember, he recently shouted her out when he got his BET award, when Carisha, which is a member of the girl group City Girls, and they're dating now. She had the Go Poppy sign in the audience. It was at that show that he said, "Thank you for Cassie for holding me down through the dark times." And there was other people, but she just happened to be one. Now, if you don't know what's going on with Cassie, Cassie is now married to a new guy, some white guy she married. I don't know him. I want to say he's like a model or something, but either way, they have two children, two little girls. She's been married to this fella for a while, and that her children are at least like 3, 4. At least they appear to be that age. Anyway, back to the story. So she sued him and said that there was abuse there and rape and all on just like mental abuse and rape and trauma in her relationship with him. So she's suing him. Now, most people are saying, oh, it's just about the money. Hello, knock, knock, knock. Let me do. Hello. That's what a civil suit is. If she's suing him, it means that it was all about the money. Now, I don't know if this is true, but I did read something and I don't know where, I don't remember. But a while ago, I read something that said that Diddy was giving her an allowance, that it started off with like 500,000 a month and then he like reduced it to 250. Now, this was all while they were dating. And then, of course, now they're not together anymore. And she does the civil suit. Now, another word on the street was that she had been asking Diddy for money while back. And I guess Diddy was like, no, he's not giving her any money. And then, of course, here we go with this civil suit. Now, I'm not saying that any of these things didn't happen. Like he didn't abuse her, didn't rape her, none of those things. Hey, who am I to not believe a woman? But it's oddly strange that this was mentioned as well on social media, that we didn't want to believe Megan Thee Stallion, even though that girl physically got shot in her foot. The boy had a whole trial and is currently in prison. And we still say she was lying. Now, yes, maybe she told a fib about their relationship, the details of the relationship. But does that really matter when he actually did something to her? Anyway, Cassie had absolutely no proof. We read no document of the details. All she said was this happened, and we all was like, yep, he did it. So all I'm saying is that if you want to believe her, that is great, because I honestly think there's some truth to it. Whether we believe it or not doesn't matter. She clearly is as saying that it happened. Then, of course, as you know, the next day, probably not even 24 hours, I just know I woke up and already he had settled. Now, we all say, oh, he settled because he knew it was true, which is a fair assumption that he doesn't want the details to come out. Let's just settle it. The fact that it's disclosed says that she didn't get 30 million. I don't know how much she got, but whatever she got, that's it. She can't milk that cow no more, because I'm pretty sure he had her sign something that says, that's it. You get this money. I don't want to hear no more about what I did to you. That's it. So now, if you really was distraught, um does the money really matter? Is the money enough to keep you? Because we all know money doesn't make you happy. And if you're truly suffering with trauma, then the money doesn't make you feel better unless you felt like you wanted to wipe that person clean. As we know, you can't do that with Diddy. His money's kind of long. Uh, I have my own theory, not to say he didn't do anything like that to her, but and we're going to get into the point of this because I'm kind of rambling a bit, but I'll get to my point originally. So when you get with a person like Diddy from somebody like Cassie, you got to think about how she came up under him. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I wonder if he's doing that to Carisha, who is Young Miami. And I'm going to say I don't think so. And the reason I say that is because Cassie came up as an artist who needed Diddy. She needed him for his talents, what he could help her out with her career. And so it was kind of a codependent type of relationship with her and him. Her livelihood, who she was and everything she did and how she moved and the money that he provided helped to create who she was. So now without that, I'm sure she wasn't living the same lifestyle that she was living when she was with Diddy. I'm not saying that her new husband doesn't have funds or income, but maybe not in the way that Diddy was providing. So she may have missed that lifestyle that she was living and felt like my kids deserve to live like how I used to live. And I had to suffer all of this all these years. So why not reap the benefits of all the work that I put in this relationship? Now, Young Miami is a different breed. She's coming in with her own money. She doesn't need him. She doesn't need him to sustain a lifestyle for her. I'm pretty sure she enjoys the fruits of her labor and the gifts that he gives her, but it's not a need. She can take care of her kids outside of Diddy. So I just don't think that he would probably do the same things, because a lot of times men will do that when they know you depend on them and need them. And that's just not the case. But there was a lady who is actually a comedian on social media, but she said that she'd been in law school or have been a lawyer or been in the legal field for some years now. And one thing she pointed out, where we all are assuming that he settled because it was true about him, he as in Diddy, she said, you know what? I noticed on that lawsuit, the parties that were mentioned, that she was suing Puffy, Diddy, Bad Boy Enterprises, Sean John. Like, she listed every little company that Diddy had, but one company in particular she listed on that lawsuit as well was Epic. Now, Epic is his own company outside of Diddy, whose Diddy probably is signed in some way, fashion, form for publishing, whatever. I don't know. But you guys know Epic Records. She was like, yo, Epix was named in that lawsuit who Cassie was working under as an artist of theirs. And she puts them in the lawsuit to say you guys were complicit or knew of this thing. And so I'm going to sue you all too. She was like, Epic called Diddy and was like, if you don't clear this up, you are not about to drag us into this lawsuit with your shenanigans. You better settle with this and settle now, or we ain't doing business with you. Now that, my friend, sounds like something that makes sense. I don't know why. She made sense. It's another angle that I haven't heard with the Diddy story. And I felt like I needed to share it with y'all because it did make sense. Again, I don't know if you guys follow the stuff that I follow, but I do know that most of us know who Puffy P. Diddy is. And so this was a great story to share. Moving along to the next topic. It is this young woman who has a ballet studio, and she teaches 5-year-olds, or I'm assuming elementary age girls, ballet. And her video went viral for saying that what is going on with these kids today, this generation. The kids won't listen. I try to give them instruction. They hit each other. They won't sit down. I try to pull their parents to the side. Their parents tell me, why are you telling my daughter to do something that she doesn't want to do? If she told you she didn't want to do it, then why didn't you listen? And then she was near tears. And really what brought her to tears is when she started talking about what she was playing for the students. She goes, I'm playing Princess Tiana and that type of ballerina type music. And they're requesting Sexy Red, Pound Town, and Ski. And at that point, she was just near tears. Since then, Sexy Red has come out and said, oh, please play my songs for them. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to make a kids bop. Didn't think that was funny. Really tacky. If you have not heard Pound Town, I hate Pound Town, by the way. Nothing about that song is entertaining. Some people say the beat. I don't even like the beat because I can't get past her. The way she rhymes, like her flow, I don't like it. And I didn't think the beat was all that because I'm a lyrics girl and I can't really get past that. Not that I haven't heard any other raunchy music, because back in our day, we had raunchy music too. I just don't like it. And the older I get, of course, the more I clutch my pearls. And the lyrics are a bit edgy. Edgy. Y'all know what I mean? Edgy. But your 5-year-old shouldn't listen to that type of language. You too should be editing what you say around a 5-year-old, 6-year-old. I can understand if they heard the radio version of that song and they like it. However, you probably should be playing Kids Bop in the car until they're old enough to kind of decipher through what's good and what's bad and that sort of thing. And sometimes at that age, it's a little shaky. So she was near tears. And of course, everybody was going on their rant about this generation. Now, let's be clear. We cannot kind of raise our kids the way our parents raised us. Why? Because the times have changed and our parents couldn't raise us the way their parents raised them because the times have changed. But I think we owe it to ourselves to reinvent the way that we raise our kids and the things that we let them listen to and how we manage. She was absolutely right. I myself would have probably taken a different approach. I would have just said, your child can't come here. At the end of the day, if your child can't listen to what I say, and this is my studio and my rules, then they don't need to be a part of my program. And then the parents will learn a valuable lesson that, hey, your kids got to learn to listen. If not, then they can't participate in these things. It has to be consequences. It's if and then. I teach all this all the time when I talk about kids on this platform. You have to use if and then statements. That works all the time, even in my adult life. I don't want to say that I be bullying people or giving them ultimatums, but I'll give a person an if or then statement. If you don't do this, then this will happen. Now, you can't be mad and be like, why did she do this? I gave you a warning, okay? I be on my equalizer shit. And so when I tell you this is about to pop off, you better best believe that I mean what I say. So I'm really not that one to play with. Not that I'm bad, just don't kiss no ass to take shit. By the way, that's a TI line. Got nothing to do with this, but that's just how I roll. Moving along. So anyway, I want to talk about kids tonight. And I want to talk about kids because that's something that I'm obviously passionate about, being in the education field, but I also don't think that we think deeply enough about it. And I myself have been a young mother and could not stand for people to give me parenting advice because I felt like unless you're a parent, you will not understand. We are products of our environment and we raise our kids a lot of times based on our convenience. how is it convenient for us to raise this child? And that, my friend, sometimes is to that child's detriment. So you raise them based on your convenience. If it's convenient for me to just live my life along with my child being alongside me, that's how you end up with a kid requesting to listen to Sexy Red. Everybody's living their life. They're going live on social media. Their child just happened to be alongside them. And there's no rhyme or reason or discipline, to say, you can't do this. Go step in the other room. Don't be a part of this, because everybody's looking for their moment. And sometimes their kids just get wrapped up in that. But coming from the school system, of course, we hear this a lot. Oh, you all don't do enough. What's going on with this generation? Y'all can't manage the kids. Let me just give you a little tidbit. And this is to be the same actually in this young lady's ballerina school. Adults are outnumbered in most situations, whether that be an after school program or the actual school. School employees are hired based on the number of students in a building. So that's how a state district determines how many adults can be in a building. It's based on the number of students that you have, and they assign so many adults per so many students. No matter what, the students always outnumber the adults. If you don't teach your child to follow rules, because I don't want you to feel like as an adult that your child got to listen to every single body, because I think that that's what sometimes we teach them. I'm your mama, you listen to me. It's what I say. If that person hits you, you tell them. If that teacher do this, you do that. But what you're not teaching them is just simple: follow rules that in place. So you as an adult, meaning me, you, everybody out there listening, we follow rules. We follow the most rules. This is what I say to my kids all the time. You want to be an adult, but adults follow the most rules. We don't get to do what we want to do. We have to do it. We do what we have to do. That is how it works with adulthood. So you go to work and you have to be there a certain time, or is that not following the rule of your job? You don't just go in anytime you feel like it, because you're an adult and you can do what you want to do. Your boss says don't use your cell phone while you're at work. You don't use your cell phone while you're at work, or there's consequences. Yes, you can say money is attached to this, but they're children, so it's obviously not going to be a work situation. But what is a child's job? It is to go to school. So this child goes to school, and that, my friend, is their job. So if their employer, meaning the teachers, the principals, and any other adult in the building, ask them to do something, the expectation is that they do it. Now, you can do whatever you want to do in your house. That is your house. But when they set foot through those school doors, that's our house. And they have to go by our rules. And if you don't like it, sweetheart, there is school choice. Take your child somewhere else. Move your child out of the ballerina school. That is an option. You don't have to like the rules, but also don't tell your kids not to abide by them, because you, my friend, are the reason why the school is in chaos. Because I promise you, unless you're in something, you will never understand it. Those kids can be very disrespectful, and they hang on the line of "I'ma tell my mama," as if we're scared of parents. We're not. However, we love our job, so we know there is a line that we cannot cross. However, I will not, nor most of my colleagues or anybody who is not my colleague in the building, but fellow coworker. I mean, fellow educators. We don't tolerate the disrespect. We don't invite it. We don't want it. We're not going to tolerate it. So if your child can't listen, then they need to go. You need to educate your child, because again, we can't raise our kids like our parents raised us, and we have options these days. There's such a thing called homeschooling. You can teach your kid at home, and if you can't teach them, guess what? There are online schools. They don't have to go to a traditional brick and mortar. But if you want to raise your child to just be chaotic and hit people and do what they want to do, then this is a little controversial. I can't never say that word, but y'all know what I'm talking about. It gets me tongue twisted, and I got to slow my brain down to pronounce it. But anyway, it's a hot topic because we are on this police trip really hard. I watch so many videos of people being given instruction and being blatantly rude and disrespectful about it when they're just being asked to do something, to follow the rule or protocol that's been in place. And we buck every time. And then we cry every time things don't go the right way. But again, life is about following rules. It's the life. It's what we live in. It's a democracy. Yes, at the end of the day, every entity that we're involved in has rules. So I was watching. This is a light situation, nothing heavy. I don't want to get into police shootings and all that. Way too heavy tonight while I'm sipping a little wine. Anyway, was a gospel singer on the airplane, and her flight attendant or whoever gave her demand and say, "Hey, ma'am, can you stop singing?" She looks to the crowd and she says, and I don't remember her name. It's just, I was so upset about the situation. She says, "Do y'all want me to stop singing? Because if y'all don't want me to stop singing, then I won't stop singing. Sir, are you kicking me off the plane? Because if you're not kicking me off the plane, then they like my singing. So why?" It doesn't freaking matter. If the people on the plane that's in charge of the flight told you to shut the hell up, then shut the hell up. It's not your flight, your plane, your whatever, your ride. And I'm sorry, I don't like outside noise. I don't like layered noise. I don't, airplane already got issues. You got to listen to all of the turbulence and the air and whatever else, and people smacking and snoring and doing whatever. And then you singing on top of it, regardless of how good you sound. Ma'am, no, it's a no, because you don't know if it's appealing to everybody. And this is a plane that we got to share. Just shut up. Just shut up and do your best to make this a smooth ride. So why was that so difficult? Then she had the nerve to post it and then said, "Hey guys, don't go and bash anybody. We want to share and be about peace." There's no such thing. You put it out there for people to criticize what you said and did, and obviously take your side. But to me, there was no side to take. Why can't we follow rules? If you go in a grocery store and they say, "Hey, you got to wear shoes in the grocery store," you just can't be like, "Well, these are my feet. And if I don't," then guess what? They don't have to let you in the grocery store. That is their rule. You follow it. That is their rule. Okay. It is what it is. When Instagram says you can't have this type of material on there, guess what? You can do what you want to do and post it, and they will shut your ass down. Delete it, cut it off, block you, suspend you. It is rules. The world revolves around it. So teach your child to follow whatever rules. And if they feel like the rule is unfair or unjust or is against them, then that is something that they take to you. And then you, as the adult, take it to the next adult. So, not defending your child. Hearing both sides of the story is perfectly fine, but defending them when you clearly know that there was a line crossed between child and adult. Um, Again, do what you want, but we have to get control of our children. My son is respectful to a default. I was just telling my husband that, like, hey, we, yes, told him be respectful, don't talk back. And sometimes it's a fine line because we've told him don't talk back, but now he doesn't want to speak up for himself in situations where we're teaching him that your grades, your schoolwork is your responsibility. So if you miss an assignment and you need to redo it, or you made a bad grade and you want to redo it, it's your job to reach out to that teacher. Or if you feel like you're being mistreated, like he's in the marching band and there's some things that's been going on that he feels like, hey, you promised me this didn't happen. Some other kids are getting it. What's up? We're telling him that's not for us to address. We want him to be a man, lead, take care of his own, not really a man, but just an adult, take care of your own issues and gripes. But he feels like him addressing it will come across as disrespectful. So now we're trying to teach them that there is a way to be respectful. There's a way to address something and it not be considered disrespectful. And so we're trying to now correct something that we created, even though it wasn't it wasn't our intent to have him, I don't want to call him scary, but have him feel intimidated and not feel like he can voice himself. So now my granddaughter, she's kind of spicy like I was growing up. And I only know that because my mom says that we're exactly alike. Now, I do remember having a smart mouth. And if she is exactly like I was, then I give her a lot of grace because I understood having an opinion about something, wanted to share my thoughts and my process in my brain as to how whatever you're saying did not make any sense, and being shut down at that freedom of being able to do that. So now what I do with my granddaughter is I teach her how to say what she wants to say, how to say what she wants to say, but say it in a respectful manner. So she tries it out on her mom, and I think it's working really well. And now my son's a little older, so it's a little harder for him to break a habit because he's in high school, but we're working on it and giving him opportunities to speak at places that we go, and having him interact with more adults and have that exchange is something that we're working on. But again, it's not our job to just, and I say again, because I think I've said this before, not to assume that all of you have listened to every single episode, but I talked before about it's not okay to just raise our kids. We have to teach them, because sometimes I feel like raising doesn't come with teaching. Raising is like, okay, I'm going to provide. I'm going to make sure you don't get into trouble. You don't harm anybody else in any trouble, but we're not teaching them things. They don't just magically grow up when they turn 18 and learn all the things that we had to learn in our how many ever years we are. They have to be taught how to wash dishes properly. You can't just say, go wash the dishes if you never showed them. Even if they've watched you wash the dishes, they need to be taught how to wash clothes, how to cook, how to speak properly, how to address everyone in certain situations, how to use cash. You will not believe how naive my son is when it comes to handling cash in a store. And yes, I know we have debit cards. However, cash is still something that's going to always be around, and it's important that they use it. But they're so used to swiping cards like it's unlimited amount of money on there. So they don't ever think about, is it enough on here? Change, getting back exact change. Yes, they learn math and money in school, but it's a difference when handing money over, waiting for change, that whole process. So we went out on a little double date this weekend. We took, it really wasn't a double date, but him and his little girlfriend wanted to hang out. And we said, okay, well, we have to go to the mall anyway. We'll let you guys go to Dave and Buster's or something, hang out. So that's what they did. But we gave him cash and had him participate in that whole experience of, like, you know, buying his stuff or whatever. And it was a little shaky, but it was a teaching moment. And that's how we saw it. So teach your children. Every single thing has to be taught. Don't assume that they already know how to handle certain situations. And the only way sometimes outside of talking to them about it is allowing them to experience it. Sometimes when you're having a conflict with someone in the family, not a cussing match, a conflict where you guys are discussing a situation that happened, allow your kids to be a part of that conversation so that they can see how to resolve a conflict without cussing somebody out or being ready to fight all the time. Because that's how I see kids handle conflict. They just be ready to fight because all they see, and even if we don't do anything, what we say is, that chick don't know me, I beat her, you know what? And that's how they assume that things are supposed to be handled. I know what you're thinking. I mean, they ought to know better. No, we teach them better. There's no such thing. When kids turn 5 or something, we just think like, oh, magic. They already got it. You know how much stuff I'm still learning now as a 43-year-old? You honestly think your 15, 16, 12, 13, however old your child is, seriously knows something? My husband likes to use big words all the time. Big words. Ran through that. My son always be like, what are you talking about, daddy? But that's what you want. You want them to ask questions. You want to answer it. There's never a cutoff time for what your child needs to learn. Even when they get out of the house, my daughter's calling me, where do you find the baking soda, mom? Who am I supposed to call about this issue? How do I handle this? It's always going to be a teaching moment, and you got to be there for it. Don't teach them your bad habits. And one final time, I'm so sick of saying this, but I'm going to continue until you all get it. All of us, I ain't gonna say all, let's back up. Majority of us suffer from childhood trauma in some way, fashion, shape, or form. And yet we do this to our kids still. We put them in a position so that they can now have some sort of childhood trauma. If you know that you were affected by the way your parents raised you or didn't raise you, then why not do things differently with your child? Why not take a little bit more time? Why not reevaluate your life and see, you know what? How is what I'm doing right now helping or hurting my child? And if what I'm doing and how I'm raising them going to hurt them in the future, not right now, think about it later. Then maybe I need to reevaluate myself and my parenting skills. You understand what I'm saying? I know that you can't always grow up in a two-parent home. I ironically did, even though they weren't my biological fathers. I grew up with a man and a woman in the house, understood that everybody's going to have a different way of raising. I actually like it. You get to balance things off. You get a different opinion. You get to sit and talk about things before you come up with a rash decision about what to do with your child. And it works out. So please, guys, teach your kids to be respectful, not just of adults, but of others too. Just people teasing and bullying and all those other different things. You have to teach them to just be a good person in general, because at some point, these children will be an adult. And again, what have you taught them? What are you teaching your child? What are you teaching them? Who are you teaching them to become? At the end of the day, you got to teach them something about working and work ethic, or they will not work. You have to teach them about respect, or they won't respect. Frankly, the fact of the matter is they don't teach themselves. That is our responsibility. And we have to take ownership of that. And we can't just laugh when they cuss somebody. And we can't just be like, oh, well, you know, she gonna do what she want to do. I've seen little girls call their parents on the phone while they cussing a teacher out and be like, she don't know me. She don't know me. I tear this thing up, blah, 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 blah. And clearly they're encouraging it. What they're not doing is telling the baby to calm down or coming to the school and jacking them up, how our parents would do. And I'm not encouraging that. What I'm saying is that you should not condone it. And you probably need to get the full story because as we know, kids don't always tell the truth. And no, adults don't either. But you owe it to the adults to at least hear them out because at the end of the day, they're children. And children don't really have a really good sense of judgment most of the time. You are the adult that should be thinking rationally to be like, you know what? Let me see what happened and what transpired. Right. And if you just happen to be a parent that doesn't have any rules in your house and your child gets to cuss with you, at you, all this other stuff, recognize that that's not normal. And that's not going to be the expectation everywhere else. Don't teach them that they don't have to because you don't make them, but that wherever you go, you should follow whatever that rule or expectation is. And if you don't, then you shouldn't be there. Or if you don't, then you should be able to accept whatever consequences are laid out for you. Right? I think so. Anyway, guys, that is my time. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you all for listening. If you have not done so, I will encourage each of you all to like my channel on YouTube, subscribe to it, all that other good stuff. I'm about to start back putting content out there. If you are on any social media platform, find me, follow me, hit me up, say hi if you feel like it. But again, thank you all for listening. I appreciate your time. And until next week, I will holla. Bye.